Hello there and then welcome to a brand new video. This is Hub Beyond Numbers where we learn maths the easy way. Now in this lesson, we are on coordinate geometry and specifically we are looking at how to calculate the distance between 2 points. So without much ado, let's quickly look into that. Now on your screen, you see the Cartesian plane on which I have point A. So this is my point A, and then this here is also my point B. And as you can see, I have drawn a straight line joining point A all the way towards point B. Now, if we isolate point A and then B, and we want to measure the length between these 2 points, there are two ways you can do that, but we'll be focusing more on the calculation aspect. So I'll just run you through how you can use your ruler. So as you can see, my scale here is 1 centimeter is to 1 unit. I use that so that I can easily do my conversion. And by that, my 1 centimeter is to 1 unit here means if I put my ruler here, as you can see, from 0 to 1 is a 1 centimeter, you see, per my ruler I have over here. So 0 to 1, that is 1 centimeter. And that is exactly my labels over here. So I have 0 to 1 being 1 unit, which represents 1 centimeter. So with that in mind, it simply means that if I have any line at all on my graph or any 2 points and I want to calculate their distance, I can just go straight away and then use my ruler to do that. So with what we have over here, I'm going to measure the distance of B away from A. And as you can see, per my measurement and then my scale helping me, that is 1 centimeter being 1 unit, then I can say that what the distance of B away from A is actually 5 centimeters just by using my ruler. You see how that nice is? You can only do this if you have a good scale and you are able to convert between your unit and then your scale. But then for the scope of this video, we are going to look at how we can actually solve for what the length, not by using ruler, but then by calculating. So generally, the formula we need is this. So if you have 2 points, let's say you have point A, which has coordinates x1 and then y1. And you have a point B, which has another coordinate x2 and then y2. Then for the length of AB, or the magnitude of AB, written as AB, then you have these two lines representing it. It is equal to, so take note of the formula very carefully. So it is equal to x1 minus x2. That is the difference between the x values. And then let's square them. You see, after squaring them, plus the difference between the y values. Let's square them as well. After which, we find their square roots. You get that? So the formula is find the difference between the x values, find the difference between the y values, where you will square them, then you now find the square root of your answer. It can also be written as x2 minus x1 squared, then plus y2 minus y1 also squared, and then you find the square root. So it doesn't matter which you bring first, because at the end of the day, you are going to square it, and then you'd find what its square root. So this is one formula we use to find the magnitude between 2 points. It is actually derived from the Pythagoras theorem. Now, I don't want us to go much into that. But let's quickly look at the application of this over here. So earlier on, we measured this and then we said the distance was what? It was a 5. So let's take these points and then test to see if the formula we are studying would also work for it as well. So our first question here says you have to find the distance between the points A and B with coordinates 1, 4, and then 5, 1 respectively. You see, so first of all, let's quote our formula. Since it is A and then B, it simply means we are looking for the magnitude of A, B. And the formula says that we should find the difference between the x values. So x1, x2 all squared plus y1 minus y2 also all squared. And then we find their square roots. You get it? So in this case now, since the point A was given as 1, 4, let's let that be our x1, y1. You see? And then we are going to let the point B, which is what? 5, 1, also be our what? X2 and then y2. So now that we have the set of values for x and then y, we can then go to the formula and do our substitution. Okay, so it means that the magnitude of AB is actually, magnitude simply means length. Okay, so the length of AB is going to be the square root. We said x1 minus x2, and we are saying our x1 is 1, x2 is 5. So that is going to be a 1 minus 5 all squared plus y1 minus y2. So that is 4 minus a 1. So 4 minus 1. Then we also square it as well. So with this now, we know that we have the square root of 1 minus 4 gives us a negative 4. So you have negative 4 squared plus 4 minus 1, which gives us a 3 squared. Okay. So our negative 4 squared actually gives us a 16 plus a 3 squared, which gives us a 9. Still with our square root on it. So our AB's magnitude will now be the square root of 16 plus 9, which gives us a 25. And our AB gives us the square root of 25, which is what? 5. So you say 5 units. You see? And that is just as equal to what we were able to get with our ruler. You get it? You wouldn't always get the chance to use a ruler, but you can always solve with just this formula. You see, so all the formula is saying is find the difference between the x values. And as I have done here, take note of which one are your x values. You don't interchange them. If you do, you are going to definitely get it wrong. You see, don't let your x be your y and then vice versa, but always make sure you represent what your x and then your y's, after which you do your substitution and then solve. Let's take some few more examples and then test our understanding. So this second question here says you have to find the distance between the point P, which has coordinates 1 and 2, and then Q, which has coordinates 4, 6. So let's look at our solution. Now, since we are looking for PQ, so we say the magnitude of PQ is still the same formula. You see, so that is the x1 minus x2, then plus your y1 minus your y2, not forgetting their squares, and then the square root of the whole show. You see, and take note, our P is actually having the coordinates 1, 2, while scale has coordinates 4, 6. Hence, we are going to let P be our x1, y1, and then our Q be our x2, and then y2. So all you now need to do is to substitute into what? Your formula over here, and then simplify. So we have our PQ being equal to, we said we have the square root of x1 minus x2, x1 minus x2, and that is a 1 minus 4. So 1 minus 4, not forgetting the square on top. Then plus our 2 and then 6. So 2 minus 6. Well, that is y1 minus y2. So 2 minus 6. Then not forgetting its square as well. So if you have to evaluate now, we are going to get 1 minus 4, which gives us a negative 3. So negative 3 squared plus 2 minus 6, which is also a negative 4 squared, with your square roots as well. And we know negative 3 squared gives us what? A 9. So we have a 9 plus negative 4 squared giving us a 16. You always do not forget your square root until you are done evaluating. So 9 plus 16 gives us a 25. And we now say our P kill, that is the magnitude of P kill, is what? The square root of 25. And the square root of 25 is actually what? 5 units. So this has also given us 5 units as well. You see, let's solve this last example and then I'll give some exercises for you to try to test your understanding. So in this last question here, you have to calculate the distance between M and N. And M has the coordinates negative 3, negative 2, whilst N has what? 1 and then 2. So our solution, you can pause at this point just to try on your own and then see if you are going to get it. So we know our M is what? Negative 3, negative 2. So we can let that be our x1 and then y1. So we have x1 here, y1 here. And then we take note of our x2, y2. That is from N, which has coordinates 1 and then 2. So their representation will be x2 and then y2. So now that we know what is going to represent what, we are now going to say the magnitude of Mn, or the distance between M and N, is going to be equal to the formula. So we said it can also be written as what? x2 minus x1. Remember we said it's actually the same thing, plus y2 minus y1 all squared, and then our square root. You see, so substituting our values, that is going to mean that the magnitude of Mn we are looking for is actually equal to x2 minus x1. That is 1 minus 3. You see, so this should mean your integers should be fine, because if you cannot work integers, you are going to miscalculate or change some of the what do you call it, symbols. So now that we have our formula, doing our substitution is just going to be direct. Okay, so you are going to say your M n, that is the distance between Mn, magnitude Mn, is going to be equal to the square root of, we said x2 minus x1. So that is 1 minus negative 1. So take note of your integers you are going to work with. So that is 1, then minus a negative what? 3. And remember, we are supposed to square this again. Plus your 2 minus negative 2. And you are supposed to square that also as well. So that we are now going to have the square root. This gives us a 1 plus 3. Because you know, when two negatives meet this way, they become a positive. Then plus 2 plus 2, all squared. You see, and by so doing, we have the square root of 1 plus 3, which gives us a 4. So 4 squared plus 2 plus 2, which is also what? A 4 squared. Hence, we have what? The square root of 16 plus 16. And we know 16 plus 16 gives us what? A 32. So we now have a square root of 32. The square root of 32 units You get it? We know 32 is not a perfect square, hence there is no need evaluating further. Okay. If you have done sets, there will be ways you can do that, but that is beyond the scope of this video, and hence you are going to leave it this way. So you say the magnitude of mn is going to be what? Root 32 units. And if you are more curious, you can say the square root, the magnitude of mn is actually going to be equal to 4 root 2 units. As I said, this here is beyond the scope of this video, and hence this alone is fine. So that ends our lesson on finding the magnitude or the distance between 2 points. I'll leave you with some exercises just for you to try to test your understanding. So here are the two set of questions you can try just to test your understanding. The first one are just simple and direct, but then the second one has a bit of practicality in it. And I do hope by going through the lesson, you'll be able to approach or answer these questions. This is how Beyond Numbers where we learn maths the easy way. I do hope this video was helpful to you. If it was and this is your first time visiting this channel, you can always choose to subscribe if you so do wish, so that anytime I release a new video, you'll be notified as well. Thanks for watching. Stay blessed, and then bye-bye.